they may miss.
All right.
Alrighty, so we're good there. So today, my game plan is only to chat for about 10 to 15 minutes about kind of a different idea, a different mentality to really promote your unit. The great thing about this is it's a very stable, pretty current form of marketing material. And it actually probably is going to be better for your scouts, whether they're Cubs to work on it, or your scouts who are Scouts BSA, or venturing crews and posts can also do it, and ships as well. But my game plan that I've been kind of pushing for and asking people to consider over the last year kind of goes in line with what everyone's been suffering for and using as an escape for the last year. And that really surrounds utilizing video content to kind of hype up what you work on as a given unit. So I'll talk about a couple of strategies, couple of things to consider throughout this whole thing, and you're more than welcome to take notes on it. Otherwise, they're all fairly straightforward. But the idea here is just, if you're thinking, would this actually work? I want you to think about how much time most scouts, whether that's very young scouts or some of the middle age, and then definitely as a recruiting tool for our 14 to 21-year-olds as we get into the ships and crews. Think of how much time they spend on their cell phone looking at YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or this or that or the other thing. And if you as leaders of your units are able to steal 20 seconds of their time and convince them that scouting might be a good community for them, there's a ton of value, and it requires a pretty low level of continuing workflow for you. So real quickly, I'm just going to give you a quick idea of something that I threw together, and I'll kind of be talking about this the whole time. But all my video editing, quote unquote, is done on this iPad, which according to the inscription on the back was made in 2013. So I use iMovie for a lot of the stuff. I've used it for a number of years, ever since high school. It's a free program if you have a iProduct. So I realize that it's not really free, but it's relatively low cost, as well as I'm sure there are dozens of other opportunities to use things. It allows me to do things. If you're from Salish Sea, you probably saw this video, but on a Sunday afternoon, I actually created a video about new member coordinator using some different slideshow cutouts, blending in the audio sound, which turned out fine, and all sorts of other photos and videos and everything else you might want to use in your given product. At the end of the day, it was a 5-minute video, and I think it took me about 2 hours, 2.5 hours to make. Now, I'm not saying it's high production value. However, I am saying that your scouts, whether they are 10 years old, 14 years old, or 18 years old, probably almost definitely have more skills than I do. And then we're going to get right into the next part, which is the most important part, which is they're going to know exactly what is entertaining to their peers, because that's who you're really leading into. You're trying to convince some of these young people to consider scouting. What is cool about our unit? The impetus of this whole program was back in 2019, December of 2019. I was at our Salish Sea. We do a December roundtable as kind of a meet and greet for all of the packs to come in and meet and greet with the troops, and then get a little insight on what the ships and crews are as a future look. And it's a really good opportunity. It was an awesome open house. And my thought, especially going into mid 2020, was how can we offer that open house feel, that understanding of what your specific unit feels like to these young people before they actually come and visit you in person, which obviously wasn't happening last year, still probably isn't happening yet, and maybe limited over the next coming 6 months. And so my thought was, hey, why don't we have the scouts put out a quick video, work together to create something that talks about what their unit does. And so this is probably one of the most important key features of whatever video or whatever marketing materials in general that you use is kind of make sure your unit has kind of a vision for what they like to do. You know, there are units in my Sailor Sea district that really like to do horse camping, and they've done horse camping every summer. They've made some horse camping trip or at least horse riding trip, and that's a main core belief of theirs. They love to do it, and of course then their marketing material should highlight that. That's a huge selling point to somebody else who's maybe sort of considering scouting but isn't quite there yet. They look at that and they say, oh, I've always wanted to ride a horse. Maybe it's shooting sports for your group or 50-miler award. There's a lot of different opportunities there for you to individualize what your unit has to offer above others. And so the first step of this video process, or developing new marketing material in general for your unit, is kind of to just sit down. And if it's PAX, it's probably going to be pretty focused on what the adults' passions are, because the adults do a lot more of the planning. If you are in a Scouts BSA unit, you're going to have a lot of this based on PLC interest. It's going to be during the PLC, what do the kids have side conversations about? What type of events really get them amped and excited to continue planning? And those are the type of things that you want to highlight, because those are the peers that you're going to be able to convince to join your unit. And then as you go into ships and crews, you know, a lot of these crews have been developed for a specific passion. You know, they almost highlight one specific merit badge and take it to the extreme, or one family of merit badges and take it to the extreme, whether it's the heavy duty mountaineer hiking units. And I know those who are back from Minnesota, where I grew up. There were units that every year they'd go to Philmont, or they'd go to Pacific Crest Trail, or they'd go somewhere else, and they would do massive hiking trips every summer. That was their big selling point. That's what they wanted to bring you in with. That was their hook. And understanding that hook is going to help you as you start to think about what goes into this video. So once you kind of figure out what your unit is going to, what the differentiation strategy for your unit is, whatever that looks like, and probably that discussion becomes a passioned excitement, energy from your scouts, and then also what your leaders want to represent at a kind of a board of directors role as leaders. You end up sculpting what the program looks like for your young people. And of course, we're all still doing the scouting program, but there are definite themes that come through in any given unit. And so once you figure out what you want to do, what you want to represent, I think the next recommendation I would have is just sit down and just throw out the idea of a video summary of the unit, or summary of a year's activities, or the dream year for Troop 5024. I know, made up number, but it works. And Troop 5024 loves doing canoeing at summer camp, and they want to do an entire video about canoeing. And then I would recommend sitting back as an adult and letting them run with it, because I'm not as you can see, I'm not presenting a whole ton of direct suggestions, because I don't use TikTok or Instagram or Vines or whatever else is on right now. I don't know what's going to be funny and click with people and impassion them to join in and get likes, get thumbs up and stuff. And so I think what I want to make sure that you understand is that you have to let the scouts lead that discussion to get those brainstorm ideas out there. We want to do like some funny video where we're doing a TikTok dance, and we're going to integrate it with pioneering merit badge somehow. We're going to be building something, and then we're going to do a TikTok dance on it, and then we're going to unbuild it and rebuild it somewhere else and do a TikTok dance on it in a different direction. Maybe that's the idea that they want to go with, and they want to just absolutely highlight those kind of cool knot features and construction features of the pioneering merit badge. Great, awesome, love it. And what's going to happen is they're going to then create a storyboard in their head, and then after that is the hardest part for the adults, which is figuring out how to, one, safely create these videos, but also ensure the safety of the individual scouts throughout the process. So a lot of units across the country, and especially in our local areas, have turned to Facebook, turned to other social media sources of their choice, Instagram sometimes, to create an online presence. And they've been struggling for many years to find the right balance of online presence, showing the human side without putting the safety, the risk onto the scouts, onto our young people. Because we want to make sure we're not imposing any additional risk on those individuals. But that's where the parents are going to have to come in and really make sure that the great ideas of storyboard that are going to be perfect for youth, because they were created by youth, get sculpted into something that's a little bit, at a minimum, safe, and at a maximum representative of what we want to do in the future, what we want to show for our future scouts to Troop 5024 in this example. After that, then get to filming and let the scouts actually go off and run with the actual filming and editing process, especially as you get into the older scouts, as you get into the probably 11-year-old and beyond. So even your Arrow of Light Cub members are probably already pretty familiar with some of the editing tools that are available on my iPad. And on their school computers probably too. And a lot of these kids are gonna get impassioned by doing these type of side projects if they don't already have those passions. And if nothing else, we might convince somebody to consider that type of role as a career. And that's of course not our intention directly, but like many things in the scouting programs, one of the side effects is the exposure to something new. And so allowing them to work on that editing feature, allowing them is going to be a cool opportunity for them to really gain that experience. Then the last thing is figuring out where you want to post it. And this kind of comes down to wherever you're posting your other photos, your stories, your posts about status updates for your unit, whether that's we're having a blue and gold banquet this Wednesday, make sure you call in and the link is here. Or email this person to get registered. Or it's hey, we just finished this hike up this mountain, like we have on Riley's background there. And this was an awesome opportunity. This is a great example of a photo. And of course, it's not in our recording, I don't believe, but I can explain it. It's a photo with nobody looking at the camera. From a safety perspective, nobody is at risk. However, it still shows something that he is passionate about, that his in this case adult group, but could be any unit wanted to do on the weekends. And wherever you post these in the day-to-day right now, whether that's Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else, continuing that with a video is not going to be problematic. And so that's kind of the conclusion of what I had to say is really just try and go through this process of figuring out as adults. You're going to want to come up with kind of what's the theme, what's the overall goal, and maybe one way to approach it is consider what the mission statement of your unit is. And a lot of times those are pretty closely tied to the mission statement of your charter organization rep. Not always, and I'm not saying they have to be. But think of what your mission statement is as a group. How do you want to present the scouting program to your young scouts, to young scouts that come to you in the future? After that, let the kids absolutely run wild with the planning, with the storyboarding, and let their passions come out with great ideas. And then have the parents, as usual, come in and ruin all the fun, just like Eric's used to with the Guide to Safe Scouting. We got to come in and make sure that it can not only be filmed safe, created safely, in the short term, but also that it's representative of a strong, supportive scouting environment. And then we can post it wherever we want. And the great thing about this is, in all likelihood, your goal activities, your mission statement isn't going to change on a year-to-year basis. A lot of these editing apps, depending on what you use, will allow you to swap in new photos, and then you just compile the video later if you wanted to swap for next year with some more recent faces, or some more recent dates if you really want to get specific. You can update those dates all the time. You can add hyperlinks and all sorts of stuff. And of course, the kids around you are going to be great examples, but so is the YouTube entirety. So is everything on the social media presence that you use, whatever it may be. Those are going to be great examples for content creation. TikTok, another one for the youth. I don't know. I'm too old for TikTok, so don't ask me about it, but ask your kids about it because they're probably on it. Those types of opportunities, those types of engagement avenues are all going to be funded or all going to be sourced through your kid's perspective, through your Scouts perspective. And once you create it, just then go ahead and share it how you usually would in the same safe manner. That's kind of what I had. I had about 15 minutes, and I was darn close to the 15 minutes for the first time in my life. Did you have any questions that you had regarding kind of marketing your unit using videos?
I think it's a really good idea because it kind of hits like you said, what kids are doing today. And I was just
absolutely.
looking, you could probably integrate it with like the movie making merit badge.
110%. Yep, absolutely. If you want to do movie making merit badge, maybe you have a patrol that's interested in incorporating the music merit badge, and you could do background music on top of it. Sure. The audio visual realm is massive, right? I mean, Steven Spielberg was a main proponent of the movie. I think it was Cinema merit badge technically at that time, but he, as an Eagle Scout, of course, was excited about employing those type of techniques in his everyday life.
Yeah, it used to be called cinematography or something, didn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And there's also the animation merit badge.
Yeah, that'd be a great one. And I was even thinking, you can apply with computers merit badge or web design merit badge. There are limitless opportunities for our Scouts to actually get something from a advancement perspective while also creating something to influence future and hopefully increase their community size. Now, Erica asked about Windows type video programs. I'm not personally familiar, but I also would not pretend to suggest any specific one. I wish I could, but in reality, I think you're going to look and you're going to find a top 10 list from CNET, or you're going to find a top 10 list from toptechtrends.com or something like that. And they're going to be able to tell you which are the best free for education ones, for this, for that, or the other thing. My example is this. I actually still have it up on my screen, but I wanted to create a CAD display of my sister's basement because she's looking at doing a remodel. And so I wanted her to kind of be able to see what's going on. And I don't have access to CAD. Well, I guess I could at work, but this is not a work project. So I went online and I found a list of 10 free CAD opportunities. A lot of them require a sign up for an email, but at the end of the day, they have free trials, and even something to that effect would totally work. But I would be surprised if there wasn't something that was free on the Windows environment, whether it's a direct application, I don't know, but at least some website that you could download, similar to how you download Zoom and you download everything.
There's an app called Video Editor that's native to Windows.
Excellent. I would guess it's very similar to iMovie. Like I said, all of my experience is with iMovie, but that does not mean it's the best application. It's just the one I have and have experience with. So great question. And maybe that's not the perfect fit for them. And this is going to come down to allowing, especially as you get into the older ranks, whether that's older Scouts BSA or a lot of our ships and crews, those individuals are on the computer all the time. I think it's a reality that we have to trust them to be pretty responsible with their web searches, but those responsible web searches also could yield different applications, different hyperlink methods, different editing features, and maybe even their schools that already have some of those programs would lend them for something like this. It's an out-of-school project, but it's still potentially an educational opportunity. And that's where the kids are going to have to tell you, they're going to have to lead that decision for the older level of Scouts. For the younger Scouts, it's going to probably still be under closer supervision by the parents. I understand that. Great question, though. Excellent. And same to you, Riley. Thanks for bringing that up. Anything else? All right. Well, I really look forward to seeing some of these come up. The long term, we may, if there's enough interest, we may be able to host some of these videos on a council-wide website. Right now, the council website is hosted as kind of small scale from a data storage perspective as possible. And that's a financial thing, and it's probably going to stay that way until it's requested otherwise. But if there are a number of units that would want this type of opportunity in a Mount Baker Council website instead of just on their own exclusive thing, that's also something we can work on. So don't think that your only option is to put it on Facebook or on Instagram or on your personal websites. You can share this with your friends. You can have your friends or your scouts share it with their friends on an individual basis. You can put it on Discords or whatever else it looks like. Just make sure that you're responsible with where you put it out, and that the video is tastefully put out there for with respect to our scouts' safety and privacy. And that's the only request I have, because I don't want any of these videos to come back to haunt our young people in 10, 15, 20 years. These are supposed to be all positive impacts on their lives. So, but you all know that. That's just an out loud reminder to something that you all work on every day. So, all right. If there aren't any other questions, we can go ahead and stop recording. You're more than welcome to always ask me anything on email too. My email is eric.westfall@alumni.iastate.edu. That's ERIC.WESTFALL @ALUMNI.IASTATE.edu.